Thanks for your support as a channel member, Knight! A few weeks ago, I challenged you guys, my members and subscribers, to join me on a community save journey. We've all taken the reins at Mercedes and we're trying to return the Silver Arrows to glory. Here's how we got on in Season 2. Hello folks, welcome back to the Mercedes Community Save. We're diving into Season 2 with the Silver Arrows, and we're going to be seeing how I've got on and how a few of you guys have got on as well. So let's, without further ado, just sort of recap where we were. I had to restart my Season 1 because it was going terribly, and we produced a much better save and finished second in the Constructors' Championship and second in the Drivers' Championship. Now, a little bit of development was needed at the start of Season 2, and we eventually got, well, we got some podiums to start with. So a podium in Bahrain, then Jeddah, we didn't get a podium, but Melbourne, we won the race. We were fantastic, and George Russell beat Fernando Alonso and Dennis Hauger to the top step. And from there, it became a bit of a title fight between George, Fernando Alonso and Oscar Piastri. As you can see, Oscar Piastri winning in Suzuka, and he also won the season opener in Bahrain. We won again in Miami in a 1-2 finish as well, which was pretty good. And of course, we were partnering George Russell with Théo Pourchaire, as you can see here, picked up his first podium with us. He picked up his one and only victory in Monaco. And yeah, I thought this was going to be the first of many, but we didn't quite have the car performance advantage I thought we might do through this save, because McLaren and Aston Martin were phenomenal, and Pourchaire almost cost us the Constructors' Championship, but I'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, as we go through, you can see, in fact, actually, if I bring up the database editor, you can see it a little bit better here. So, spoilers, George Russell won the World Championship for Mercedes. It went down to the wire in, almost in Abu Dhabi, but we won it in Qatar. It was really tight. If I have a look at it actually on my screen as well, I can show you sort of how it ebbed and flowed. I mean, we had a little bit of a barren run in the sort of early season, Imola to Spain, then we won again in Silverstone and Hungary. The Dutch Grand Prix, Monza, and George was really strong second half of the season, and that really made the difference. Piastri had a couple of iffy races here and there, and it didn't quite work out for him. In fact, Imola, this non-scoring Imola, really hurting him. But second half of the season, we really put it to the McLaren driver. Théo Pourchaire only 5th, and basically, because around sort of Singapore, we weren't really looking at winning the Constructors' Championship, I decided to do something about it, and I thought, well, if we're not going to win it this year, I need to drop Pourchaire, because he's going to cost us it next season as well. So we did go on to win the Constructors' Championship, ironically, because we decided to sign another driver after the Singapore Grand Prix, and then Pourchaire's performances picked up, and look at the amount of points we scored second in the last few races here from Austin to the end of the season. We just annihilated everybody. However, if I get rid of this, I can show you what we've done with our driver lineup. So we renewed George Russell's contract. He's obviously delighted. He starts a new deal on $25 million a year in January. And we've got rid of Théo Pourchaire. He's going to be replaced by Kimi Antonelli, who is overall rated 83. So he is very, very ready for Formula One. So here's the Constructors' Championship, as you can see. Williams with Lewis Hamilton, by the way, got 91 points. Did he get all of those 91? No, he got almost half of them, actually. Esteban Ocon got 45 points as his teammate. That's a solid effort from the Frenchman. Dennis Hauger went in a McLaren. Lando Norris, who we tried to sign and then ended up at Haas, had a terrible season. Paul Aaron at Ferrari instead of Lewis Hamilton only got 20 points. Ferrari had a rubbish year. They were 5th. They were awful. Red Bull knocked off their perch. McLaren hampered by Hauger. Aston Martin with Bottas and Alonso were pretty formidable. So we managed to come out on top in the end. But I did have to make some changes along the way, and it was tough going second half of the season. We haven't researched as much as we might have done so for season 3, so I'm sure we'll have to sort of make up ground in season 3 when that comes along. But I've also sat down with a couple of you guys to discuss how you have got on. So previously we heard from Ben and Callum, but this time I sat down first of all with channel member Justin Inakaitis. Alright guys, I'm here with channel member Justin Inakaitis. Welcome along to the show, Justin. First time we've had you on. Great to have you here with me. Looking forward to being part of the show.
Yeah, it's very good. Thank you for having me.
No, you are very, very welcome, and thank you for your support as a channel member. And it gives you the opportunity to do really cool things like this. Now, before we dive into your season 2, just get us up to speed with where you are, how you did in season 1, because we did mention your progress in the first video, but obviously we didn't get to hear from you yourself. So just give us your account of how things went.
Yeah, season 1 was pretty good, I'd say. A few wins, few podiums along the way. We were eventually 40 points behind Red Bull in the constructors. Pretty close battle, and in the drivers, Hamilton got second and George Russell got third, about 8 points off Verstappen, which is okay, not great. And the driver lineup for season 2 was George Russell and Teo Pacher, which was a bit of a panic buy last minute because we couldn't get Carlos Sainz, our main target. But
there was a bit of a funky thing that happened in your save with drivers sort of moving around. Didn't you initially go for Piastri, or am I misremembering?
Yeah, so I went with Piastri, but literally, it didn't even tell me literally after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, it said Oscar Piastri has been poached, and then I had a vacant role so it was, again, a bit of a panic buy.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty of your second season. So just before you tell us where you've ended up, how has this second season compared to season 1?
It was the first, I'd say, 3 or 4 races were a bit of a learning curve, especially Bahrain. We were very off the pace, but the season ended out pretty well, I'd say.
And where did you finish in the championship standings? Have you clinched yourself a world championship?
We have, by 105 points over Red Bull.
Nice, good work.
And George Russell has won the drivers by 137 points over Oscar Piastri.
I love that he's beaten Piastri to it. That has become the rivalry of your save. Piastri has just dipped out from Mercedes. Where did he end up? Did he end up at Red Bull?
Yeah, it was at Red Bull.
Oh, excellent. So the plot thickens in the Mercedes and Red Bull rivalry. Not only was 2021 bad enough, there's the business now of Red Bull stealing Piastri from a Justin-led Mercedes, and then Mercedes going on to win the championship with Russell anyway. I love that. That is the storylines that we're looking for in these sort of conversations, and that's fascinating. You must feel really good that you beat Piastri to the title, or do you feel disappointed still that he wasn't in your team?
I mean, I felt he'd be a good addition because the driver market was a bit confusing for me after, but I still felt like it was still good revenge over him.
Good revenge. And talk to me about your season. Is there any sort of performances, any results that really stand out? Obviously, if you've won the championship, you've got, I'm guessing, hopefully a lot of wins to choose from. Are there any performances you go, actually, yeah, I did a good strategy there, or George drove well there, and just what stood out?
Yeah, I'd say, well, I want to focus on the start of the season a bit because it was a very slow start. I mean, in Bahrain, we had the 12th fastest car, and Russell got second place somehow. It was a brilliant performance because Teo was down in 9th. He didn't have a great race. And also in Saudi, George Russell won it by 97 thousandths from Verstappen, literally a drag race to the line. And nice. Teo Pacher finished 8th. And there was 9 DNFs in the whole race.
Oh, wow. Porsche really underperforming then.
And so we got our first win in Japan. And then it took us a while to get our second win in Monaco. It was a 1-2.
Nice.
And then the wins just kept on flooding in. George Russell got 7 wins in a row.
Wow.
And we had 3 1-2s in a row. And then we got to around Mexico, and I just started researching a lot for next season, so our performance dipped off a bit, but we just kept on finishing 3rd and 4th, so it was enough to clinch the championship.
Nice. You've done the hard work already, so you could sort of shift your focus a little bit. That's always sort of good forward planning. Talk to me a bit more about Théo Pourchaire, because obviously in game he develops really well. I've seen it on other people's saves. He develops extraordinarily well. You mentioned that he had a couple of iffy races to start with, and I went with Pourchaire, and he took his time getting up to speed. So, did he get up to speed eventually for you?
Eventually he did, but I'd say the first 7 or 8 races were not so good. Lots of 7th, 8th, 6th. Like, his best result was a 3rd place in Miami until the Spanish Grand Prix.
You mentioned earlier on it's been a bit crazy in the driver market. Obviously, you've got the 2026 rule change coming up. Do you feel prepared?
I mean, from what I've seen, I think we're looking all right. Not brilliant yet, but all right. There's still going to be a lot of designing before the start of the season, so it's not looking too bad.
Good stuff. And I'm guessing you're keeping Russell and Pourchaire?
Well, there's been a bit of I've been incredibly unlucky, and Russell has been poached again.
What?
Yeah, but it's by Red Bull.
Oh my God. Please tell me, please tell us all that you have gone to Red Bull and stolen one of their drivers as, sort of payment for George Russell.
So this is the thing. I tried to get Oscar Piastri back, and then it told me Oscar Piastri has already confirmed a contract with McLaren.
Oh, wow.
So he's gone back to McLaren a year after going to Red Bull.
This is nuts. So who have you replaced George with?
So I've replaced George Russell with Lando Norris.
Nice, solid.
And I have gotten rid of Théo Pourchaire.
Oh.
Because I feel like he was doing all right, but he wasn't progressing as quick as I wanted to. He was only 81 rated by the end of the year. And of course, I've chosen Kimi Antonelli to be in the second team.
Yeah, that's a good shout. That's a good shout. I like that. Okay, so obviously you're going to be looking for another double championship in season 3.
Yep, definitely. I mean, I feel like again we'll have a slow start, but I feel like in the middle of the season we'll grow into it and do very well.
Excellent. Right. Well, best of luck for season 3, and thank you very much for joining me.
Yep, thanks for having me.
So Justin's had a little bit of a similar experience to me, but he is fielding Lando Norris and Kimi Antonelli for season 3. Let's also have a look at how one of my subscribers, Elite Silver, got on. He finished 2nd in the standings after winning the championships in season 1. He recruited Charles Leclerc alongside George Russell, and they finished 3rd and 5th respectively. He did tell me that he kind of sacrificed season 2 and he's probably going to annihilate everybody in season 3 with the rule change. He got victories in Bahrain, Miami and Silverstone. They were the ones that he sent across to me. So well done so far to Elite Silver. We're expecting big things from him in season 3. I also sat down with another channel member. Here's how my chat with Optics went as we discussed his 2nd season with Mercedes. So we've heard from Justin and you've heard about my save so far, but let's check in with Optics. We heard about his save a little bit in the first video, but we're going to hear from him right now about his season 2 progress. Optics, welcome to the show. Great to have you here. Excited to join us?
Yeah, I'm buzzing.
Excellent. Great to have you on. Tell us to start with a little bit about how you got on in season 1, please.
So, season 1, finished P2 in the constructors. Red Bull beat me by around 50 points. Basically, Verstappen won 17 races, just completely dominated the season. We still got 6 wins, so we were still up there, but it was mainly just Verstappen and Red Bull that just completely took it away from us.
It was almost a rerun of 2023 then in that respect.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was just pain for everybody, I guess. So talking of sort of season 1 and coming into season 2, you did something a little bit different to everybody with your driver lineup, didn't you? So, it sparked conversation in the Discord. Tell me who you've got in your driver lineup for season 2 and how you did it.
So I went with Lando Norris and Kimi Antonelli, which obviously Antonelli is a bit controversial because in the game you can't sign him until after Bahrain in season 2, but I did have to use the editor to put him in there for the first race just because I wanted to keep it realistic, and that's how I enjoy the game.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough because everyone's curious about Kimi Antonelli. He's this sort of child prodigy of Toto Wolff's, isn't he? So if we get to see it in the virtual world as well, it's kind of weird the way the affiliate system has worked, that you have to wait until after Bahrain of season 2 to actually be able to sign him, and the fact that you can't just sort of promote him within the Mercedes team is a bit sort of odd, but I suppose that's a kink that they have to work out. But yes, it did stir a little bit of conversation in the chat about the fact that you did use the editor, which honestly I think is fine. Like you say, it keeps it realistic, and in that sense I think you're the only person who's used Antonelli for season 2, so it gives everyone else sort of a barometer of actually what he could achieve if they were to sign him for season 3. So let's talk about your season 2. You've got Lando Norris and Kimi Antonelli. How have they done for you? I hope there's lots of victories there.
Yeah, we basically completely dominated the season. Won 16 out of 23 races. Won the constructors and the drivers. Won the constructors by over 300 points. And then
Wow.
Norris won the drivers' championship by a good 120 points from Verstappen. So it was a really good season 2 for me.
Wow, you've absolutely blown everybody away. And Lando Norris, if he doesn't get the 2024 championship in real life, he's got the 2025 championship in your universe. And what I've noticed about Lando's stats, especially like in F1 Manager 23, was his smoothness stat was off the charts. It was ridiculous. So you could almost give him any tyre strategy and he'd be able to make it work. Is that something that you were able to exploit?
Yeah, it was. It was really helpful actually, because like there was, I can't remember which race it was, but I did a 3-stop with Antonelli in the race, and I managed to do a 1-stop with Norris, and he still managed to win the race, even on so much older tyres. Yeah.
That is seriously impressive, and obviously that goes to show the power of like the stats within the game. Because obviously Antonelli would have lower stats; he'd still be developing, but Lando has got those stats sort of hard coded in the game to begin with, and that gives him such an edge in terms of his performance. Talk to me about those races then. There's obviously many victories you've got to pick from. Is there one or two that really stand out? You go, actually, we did a really good job there. I nailed the strategy. Obviously, you mentioned the 1-stop versus the 3-stop there. But are there any others that jump to mind?
Well, my personal favourite is the Saudi Arabia race, so the second race of the season. There was a late safety car, so lap 47 of 50 or something like that. And but everyone went on to new tyres, etc. And on the penultimate lap, on lap 49 out of 50, Antonelli crashed from 9th and caused a red flag. So that meant that Lando Norris basically won the race because of an Antonelli red flag. And obviously Antonelli still got his 2 points from causing his red flags. That was quite funny.
It's a strange quirk of the red flags rule, isn't it? If you're the guy who crashes out and you're like 4th or 5th and the race is red flagged, you still keep that position. It sparks debate even in the real world. So obviously that's not a good moment for Antonelli, but how did he fare? Obviously a young driver coming into the team, experienced driver on the other side in Lando Norris, who goes on to win the World Championship. What did Kimi Antonelli get up to apart from causing a red flag?
At the beginning of the season, it was rough. I mean, he was 78 rated, something like that. Crashed in the first 3 races. Crashed 3 out of 4 of the first races, basically. But as the season went on, obviously because his development is so high in the game, by the end of the season, he was about an 83, 84. I can't remember what number it was, but he still managed to win 4 races, got 5 pole positions, and managed to finish P3 in the championship, when after race like 6 or something, he was 10th just because of all the crashes. And he developed really well, and he became really fast, actually, yeah.
That is very interesting, because obviously you can see the massive growth potential, and obviously with Mercedes having pretty good facilities to start with, he's able to develop really quickly, and that means he just sort of settles in. So I'm guessing by, like you say, halfway through the season, he'd found his feet, and he was less crash happy. But I mean, did that impact you at all in like the crash damage and the money mounting up in making new parts and rebuilding the car?
Yeah, so by the end of the season, the cost cap was really a problem, especially for like the last 3 or 4 races, just because we had all the worn engine parts from all the seasons. Antonelli went for about 5 cars, so buying all the new parts and trying to lengthen them out meant we had to use worn parts for a long while. But because we were so far ahead at the end of the season in the constructors and the drivers, really, it wasn't really a massive issue for us because our car was still pretty fast there anyways.
So in that sense, the damage had already been done, not to excuse the pun, because you got all the points that you needed. You could just sort of stroke it home from 3 or 4 races out and just sort of cross the line at a bit of a coast, which is kind of a nice position to be in, I suppose, because, I mean, from my point of view, I was in a title fight until 2 rounds to go, and I'm trying to balance getting the research done for 2026 reg changes with, actually, I want to win this World Championship, and Oscar Piastri is being a complete nuisance to me by winning all the races. It was just difficult. But obviously, that's a really good season for you. How do you top what you've done in season 2 when you move into season 3?
I'm going to try and win every race.
That's the spirit. Absolutely love it. And are you keeping Lando and Kimi for season 3?
Yes, unless any of them get taken away from me, which they haven't. So yeah, I will be.
Well, we have seen the game throw up a few interesting like late poachings from time to time. So fingers crossed, touch wood, that they stick with you. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with us. That was actually really interesting. So yeah, great to hear from you, and good luck with season 3. So obviously, well done to Optics for winning the championships in Season 2. He's looking to win all the races, as he said, in Season 3. Let's have a look at how Ben, aka Pulse Potato, got on in Season 2. I'm just going to bring up some of the photos on my screen. So he has smashed the 1,000 points barrier with Mercedes. He won 23 out of 24 races. An astonishing achievement. 1,123 points for Mercedes. It's literally double what McLaren had. It's unbelievable. And that meant it was a title fight between George Russell and Charles Leclerc. George Russell just edging his new teammate by 9 points in the end. And yeah, that would have been some title fight. 12 race wins for George Russell. So yeah, that's one more than Charles Leclerc managed. He got wins in Monaco, Bahrain for Leclerc. Leclerc won in Monaco and Bahrain. Where else did he win? He won in Brazil as well, but George won his home race at Silverstone. And even though Charles Leclerc took the victory in Yas Marina, George was still able to clinch the World Championship. So obviously well done to Ben for that. And yeah, that's a pretty impressive save so far. Now, I am going to go through with you guys. You're going to find out live with me right now what the transfer market does for Season 3. So I'm going to hit continue, and then we'll find out what happens for Season 3. Okay, we have reached the 3rd of January 2026. Kimi Antonelli is here. So welcome aboard, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, for the new season alongside the world champion. Let's have a look at the driver roster update. Oh, it's decided to glitch. And what on earth am I seeing here? Logan Sargent is at Red Bull. Aston Martin have got... It's glitched. I'm just going to go over here. This will be easier, won't it? Right, George Russell at Mercedes, Fernando Alonso at McLaren again. What on earth? Max Verstappen has been dropped by Red Bull. Well, he's back at RB. What on earth? Why? And why is Sergio Perez still at Red Bull? That doesn't make any sense. Charles Leclerc has gone to McLaren because that's what he seems to do. Season 3 in this game, he just seems to be hard-coded to go to McLaren. Lewis Hamilton stays with Williams. Interesting. Esteban Ocon has gone to Haas. Tsunoda moves to RB. Albon is now at Aston Martin. Lando, what on earth is Lando doing with his career? He's ended up at Haas and now Kick. What is going on? What on earth? Okay, Carlos Sainz is at Alpine. Hulkenberg has stayed at Haas. Gasly's still at Alpine. Ricciardo and Lando Norris have reunited at Sauber. Cool. Lance Stroll and Liam Lawson are at Ferrari. What the flip is this? Logan Sargent's at Red Bull. Iwasa's at Williams. Vesti is now with Aston Martin, and we've got Antonelli. Well, I suppose we're just fighting Alonso and Leclerc this season. Probably. Although I have no idea how the cars are going to perform. That is actually... I'm going to say it now. That's a stupid grid. It's not... It's funny, but it's stupid. Because it's totally not realistic. This system is completely broken. It's too wild. It's too crazy. It's just too much. It's just too much. Right, Formula 2. Anything interesting happening here? No, not really. Let's be honest. Anyway, well, hopefully you stuck around for that. That might have been worth sticking around for. But yeah, that was the Season 2 Community Save update, which means you can now start Season 3, the third and final season. And let's see how many championships we can all win. So, as I said, Season 3 can now get underway, and if you haven't been mentioned in this video, but you would like to have your sort of progress mentioned, leave a comment on the video and I can mention it next time out. We're going to go for a couple of weeks again. It was a little bit longer between Season 1 and Season 3 just because I was very busy. But yeah, we'll go for a couple of weeks. We'll give a deadline of, if I can find my calendar on my phone, you can see I've really prepared for this. If we go for a deadline of the 18th of October, gives everyone around about 2 weeks to get the save sorted, and we'll reconvene. We'll get a few more guests on and we'll see how we've all got through the season with new cars, well, new regulations for Season 3. But yeah, if you enjoyed that, leave a nice big thumbs up on the video for me. Subscribe for more F1 Manager content coming very, very soon, and I'll see you next time. You're the best fans. It's bye for now.